the largest community bank in this area. And we spoke with the CEO about how he has been able to measure the impact of inflation and what stage we may be at right now.
If you look at it maybe on a continuum, what's happening right now is people are talking about inflation. They're probably even complaining about it when they're filling up their gas tank or they're going to the grocery store. But at this stage, it's talk. It isn't action yet on people pulling back. So I think we're still in that first stage. We saw a fairly big influx in deposits during the pandemic. Most of that was through PPP, and it was also through the government stimulus. And we tracked that pretty closely. We are still seeing elevated deposits. So people are spending money, but they still have a fair amount of money in their banking accounts. It's amazing to me the stories I hear in the real estate market. I always thought when you hear the stories about people spending more than the list price, that was something that happened on the coasts. That's now happening here in the Quad Cities. That's probably been the biggest surprise to me.
So he's talking about real estate. And speaking of real estate, the sector is also one of the more obvious areas around inflation, with record sale prices along with record demand across the country. I mean, just try to buy a house in most markets. You better come with a lot of cash and be willing to forego any contingencies. Well, we spoke with Chris Beeson. He is the president of Rule & Rule, which is the oldest real estate company west of the Mississippi. Last year was the firm's best year ever, with $1.2 billion in sales. So we asked Chris about whether or not he has been feeling the impact of inflation on his real estate business.
Inflation has certainly been on top of everybody's mind, and it's been a big topic of conversation. We're seeing it impact different businesses in different ways. People are feeling it, but it hasn't significantly impacted our business just yet. There still seems to be a very strong demand for homes, and that's keeping things moving in the housing industry. We're very fortunate in the Midwest here to have be lagging in some of the national trends. So still very strong. We still have really good demand, which is keeping prices up. We never had as much of a fluctuation as there was in some of the other more populated areas and on the coast. So it's a little more slow and steady. We have certainly have a lot of the same challenges that other parts of the country are having, but just not as severe. So we are very much a seller's market.
We also asked Chris if home prices have gone up too far, too fast, and what he hopes to see out of real estate.
It needs to slow down. It's been artificially stimulated for a while, and it's going to be a great thing if we get back to 2018, 2019 numbers, which is much more normalized. And in the long term, that's going to be healthy for everyone involved.
Now, it's not just the real estate market seeing record high prices. It's also all the stuff it takes to build a home as well. Home builders themselves have been seeing input prices skyrocketing. Lumber prices have gone up since the beginning of the year. And many of these stocks have gone in the opposite direction as rates rise. Lennar, D.R. Horton, Toll Brothers, and others all seeing their stocks down 20 to 30% since January. Now, that input squeeze, combined with the record demand that Chris just talked about, is pushing housing prices higher and higher and higher, hitting the average American family's pocket. In fact, Redfin found that the average monthly mortgage payment is now 43% higher than just 1 year ago. 43%. So we know, of course, you know, that inflation is a big economic issue. So maybe the bigger question right now is how long it's going to last. So we asked the true experts, and that is you. We're going to give you your answers coming up as we belly up to the bar and get ready to talk about what it's like to run a business like this right now. That's next.
We are on a mission to make the United States of America the safest country in the world. It is an audacious goal. But since when in our country do we shy away from what is hard, what is difficult, and what is impossible? We are Americans. The world is going to change more in the next 10 years than the last 100 years combined. Because we, together,
Do you have a box of videotapes, film reels, or photos that are degrading?
Legacy Box professionally converts them to DVDs, thumb drive, or the cloud.
Legacy Box is simple and safe, with over 1 million satisfied customers.
Visit legacybox.com today and get 50% off.
When the closing bell rings, we're in overtime. Scott Wapner breaks down the after-hours moves with tough analysis.
I didn't misrepresent that. I mean, you've been cautious.
Today's action, tomorrow's opportunity. All new Closing Bell Overtime. Weekdays 4 Eastern, CNBC.
Next, tragedy in Texas. The new questions about the timeline and the police response. Plus, tributes to the victims. The facts, the truth. The news with Shepard Smith. Next, CNBC.
All right, welcome back. All hour long, we've been coming to you from the Front Street Brewery and Tap Room, a great restaurant and pub right here in Davenport, Iowa. And business has been good lately. But running a small business like this is not just about inflation. It's also about workers and wages and weird shortages of important products. So let's wrap up our hour with Tim Baldwin. He's the co-owner of Front Street Brewery here in Davenport. And first off, thanks for having us. We jammed up your place, and we appreciate you having CNBC here, Tim.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Is there anything at all that's gone down in price in the last year or two?
Nothing I can think of.
Nothing. Give
Not a
one
thing.
thing. Nothing.
Not a thing, no.
T-shirts?
No.
Beer?
No, certainly not beer. No.
Food?
No, certainly not food.
How bad is it with inflation right now?
You know, it's been tough. We've hung out as long as we could. May 1st, we had to finally increase the price of a pint of beer. Between trucking costs, the cost of grain, the cost of inputs, our labor cost, everything's gone up, and it finally forced us to raise the price of a pint of beer.
And are your suppliers coming to you and say, "Hey, Tim, I'm sorry, man, I gotta raise the prices.
Yeah,
I gotta raise the grains, the glasses, whatever it may be."
You know, when it comes to the input cost for beer, they don't give us much notice. It's just, here's the next shipment, and this is what it's going to cost this time.
You don't have a say?
No, we really don't have a say when it comes to the beer production. Now, when we're talking about our restaurant and the foods that we source locally, we do work very closely with our local suppliers and negotiate those prices. So we're all in the same boat here locally.
Do you have any wiggle room on prices?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, especially with our local suppliers, particularly when we're talking about beef and chicken and proteins that are raised right here in the Quad Cities. It's a give and take because we both need to survive and get through this period of time.
So what are they? I mean, you know what's going on. You live here, but what are they telling you? Sorry, it's fertilizer costs.
Yeah, fertilizer
sorry,
costs.
It's feed. Yeah. Sorry, it's trucking.
All the above. Fertilizer
costs.
All
the above.
Yeah, all the above. Absolutely. So their input costs go up. That product they produce from us has to go up. It's got to break somewhere.
What I'm worried about, though, Tim, I'm telling you, is like fertilizer prices spiked late last year. Yeah. Those crops are planted this spring. I don't know if food inflation has gone through the cycle yet because a lot of the stuff we're growing to eat is still growing.
Right, right.
Do you think it could get worse before it gets better?
I think it could, and, you know, we do the best we can to forecast that and prepare for it. We change our menu out twice a year. We're in the middle of that right now. We had probably a half a dozen items on that menu that had to be adjusted price-wise or modify the product so we could reduce some of the costs. For example, our price of spring mix, our lettuce, the spring mix has gotten out of hand, so we're modifying lettuce. And we're building our own salad now by taking some of the spring mix and adding in some spinach that's lower cost to reduce the overall cost and not have to increase the cost of the product to the customer.
Listen, restaurants, obviously some of the toughest businesses in America to run. Maybe